If you are listening to this, you are witnessing the end of an era. This is not fear-mongering. This is not speculation. This is a mathematical certainty written into the laws of the United States, the European Union, and Japan. By the end of 2026, the automotive landscape will be fundamentally broken. A wave of draconian emissions regulations, corporate average fuel economy standards, and forced electrification mandates are converging to kill the internal combustion engine as we know it. For the last 100 years, we have relied on engines built with a simple philosophy: displacement, iron, and durability. We relied on V8s that could idle for days. We relied on V6s that could drive to the moon and back. These engines were not just machines, they were the backbone of the economy. They built our roads, hauled our families, and powered our businesses. But the manufacturers have betrayed us. In a panic to meet government deadlines, they are scraping these legendary engines. They are melting down the tooling. They are firing the engineers who knew how to build them. And in their place, they are giving us disposable appliances. They are replacing the 5-liter V8 with a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder. They are adding 2 turbos, a hybrid battery, and 40 pounds of plastic wiring to do the job that a simple block of iron used to do. They are selling us engines that run so hot they cook their own oil, engines that are designed to fail the moment the warranty expires. But there is a small window of opportunity left. A tiny crack in the door before it slams shut forever. There are 7 specific engines that are still available on the used market, and in some rare cases, on dealer lots, that represent the pinnacle of combustion engineering. These are the forever engines. They are the last of the Mohicans. If you buy a car with one of these engines today, you are doing 2 things. First, you are securing reliable transportation for the next 20 years. Second, you are making a financial investment. As the new turbo hybrid engines start failing left and right in 2027 and 2028, the value of these simple, unkillable engines is going to skyrocket. I have compiled the ultimate list. I have analyzed the metallurgy, the failure rates, and the parts availability. These are the 7 engines you must buy before the 2026 ban makes them illegal to build. We begin with the engine that is synonymous with freedom, the General Motors small block V8, specifically the LS and the LT series. Since 1955, the formula has been the same: 8 cylinders in a V shape, push rods, 2 valves per cylinder. It is ancient technology, and that is exactly why it is perfect. While German engineers were adding overhead cams, variable valve lift, and complex timing chains at the back of the engine, GM engineers asked a simple question: how do we make this run forever? The result is an engine that is physically smaller than a Ford V6, yet produces 400 horsepower. It is the Lego brick of the automotive world. You can find parts for a Chevy V8 in a grocery store in rural Nebraska. You can fix it with a hammer and a wrench. But you need to be careful. Not all GM V8s are created equal. The modern enemies are AFM, active fuel management, and DFM, dynamic fuel management. These are systems GM was forced to install to satisfy the EPA. They shut down cylinders to save gas. The problem is, the lifters collapse. They eat the camshaft. So, here is your strategy. You need to find the 5.3-liter or the 6.2-liter V8. If you're buying a Silverado, a Tahoe, or a Suburban made before 2014, you are getting the Gen 4 LS engine. This is the holy grail. It is bulletproof. If you buy a newer model from 2015 to 2025, you are getting the LT engine. It is still a masterpiece of engineering, but you must budget $1,000 to install an AFM disabler device or a mechanical delete kit. Once you remove that emissions garbage, you have an engine that will run for 500,000 miles. Compare this to what it's replacing it. The new Chevy Colorado, it has a 2.7-liter 4-cylinder turbo. It's stressed. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner. It has a complex turbo system that runs at blistering temperatures. Do you think that four-cylinder will be running in 20 years? Absolutely not. The GM V8 is the gold standard. Buy one while you still can. Next, we move to the company that usually plays it safe, but accidentally built a racing engine for the streets, Toyota. The engine is the 2GR5 FKS 3.5-liter V6. You know this engine. It is everywhere. It powers the Toyota Camry, the Avalon, the Highlander, the Tacoma, and the Lexus ES350. It is so common that people ignore it. They think it's just an appliance engine. They are wrong. This engine is a marvel of metallurgy. It features an aluminum block with cast iron cylinder liners. It uses a timing chain that never stretches. It is naturally aspirated, meaning there are no turbos to coke up the oil, no intercoolers to leak, and no high-pressure piping to crack. But here is the secret that proves its durability. This is the same engine that Lotus, the British supercar manufacturer, uses in the Evora and the Emira. Lotus takes this boring Camry engine, straps a supercharger to it, and runs it at 7,000 RPM on a racetrack all day long, and it doesn't break. If it can handle a racetrack, it can certainly handle your commute. But Toyota has betrayed this legacy. Look at the 2024 Toyota Tacoma. They killed the V6, they replaced it with a 2.4 turbo hybrid called the iForce Max. It sounds high-tech, but look closer. It has a turbocharger, it has a hybrid battery pack, and an electric motor sandwiched between the engine and transmission. If that hybrid system fails, the truck doesn't move. If the turbo fails, you are looking at a $4,000 repair. The 3.5-liter V6 is the last of the million-mile engines from Toyota. The market hasn't realized this yet. You can still buy a used Lexus ES350 or a Toyota Tacoma with this V6 for a reasonable price. But as soon as the reports start coming in about the new turbo engines failing, the value of these V6 models is going to double. Now, we must observe a moment of silence, because this engine is not just dying, it is already dead. The Dodge Hemi. For 20 years, the 5.7-liter and the 6.4-liter Apache V8s were the heartbeat of the American working class. They were affordable horsepower. You could buy a Dodge Challenger or a Ram 1500 for $40,000 and have an engine that sounded like thunder and pulled like a freight train. The Hemi is an old-school pushrod engine, similar to the Chevy. It has a hemispherical combustion chamber, that's where the name comes from, which allows for massive valves and incredible airflow. Critics will talk about the Hemi tick. They will talk about exhaust manifold bolts snapping. And yes, those things happen, but they're cheap fixes. A snapped bolt costs $50 to fix. Compare that to what Stellantis has done. In 2025, they discontinued the Hemi. They replaced it with the Hurricane Inline 6. On paper, the Hurricane is impressive. Twin turbos, high pressure, 500 horsepower. But look at the engine bay of a new Ram truck. You can't see the ground. The engine is buried under a nest of hoses, wires, sensors, and plastic pipes. It is a mechanic's nightmare. To do simple work on the Hurricane engine, you often have to lift the cab off the truck. The complexity has skyrocketed, but the reliability has plummeted. The Hemi V8 is now a collector's item. If you can find a clean, low-mileage Dodge Charger RT or a Ram 1500 Classic with the 5.7 Hemi, buy it immediately. Do not sell it. It is the last affordable V8 we will ever see. I know what you were thinking. I thought this list was about big engines. Why is there a four-cylinder on here? Because the Honda K-Series is not just a four-cylinder. It is the greatest four-cylinder ever built. Specifically, we're talking about the K24, the 2.4-liter, and the K20, the 2.0-liter naturally aspirated engines found in the older CR-V, the Accord, the Acura TSX, and the Civic Si. This engine is a masterpiece of precision. It features a forged steel crankshaft, it has iron cylinder liners, and it has the legendary iVTEC system. VTEC allows the engine to be two things at once. At low RPM, it is a fuel-efficient economy engine, but past 5,000 RPM, the cam profile changes. The valves open deeper and longer, and it turns into a screaming sports car engine. These engines routinely hit 500,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and valve adjustments. But look at what Honda is doing now. The L-Series 1.5-liter turbo. This new engine is a disaster. It suffers from a fatal flaw called oil dilution. Because it is a direct injection turbo engine, raw gasoline sprays onto the cylinder walls and washes past the piston rings into the oil pan. The gas mixes with the oil, turning your lubricant into a thin, watery sludge. This destroys bearings. It destroys camshafts. The old K-Series did not have this problem. It was pure. It was simple. If you need a commuter car, do not buy a new Honda Civic with the 1.5 turbo. Go back and find an Acura ILX or a Honda CR-V with the 2.4-liter K24. It is an engine that will outlive your grandchildren. Ford takes a different approach than GM or Dodge. While the others stuck to old-school pushrods, Ford decided to build a high-tech V8, the 5.0-liter Coyote. Introduced in 2011, this engine is overhead cam. It has 4 valves per cylinder. It breathes like a race car engine. It revs to 7,500 RPM. Mechanically, the Coyote is robust. It features a deep skirt block, cross-bolted main bearing caps, and a forged crankshaft in the higher trims. It was designed to handle massive abuse. That is why drag racers love them. You can bolt a supercharger on a stock Coyote engine and make 700 horsepower reliably. But Ford is under attack. The F-150, the best-selling vehicle in America, is slowly abandoning the V8. First, they introduced the 3.5 EcoBoost V6. It was fast, but the cam phasers rattled, the timing chains stretched, and the turbos failed. Now they're pushing the PowerBoost Hybrid, a complex system of batteries and motors integrated into the transmission. The Coyote V8 is the last outlier. It is the only way to get a Ford truck that doesn't sound like a vacuum cleaner and doesn't rely on 2 turbos to move. However, be warned, the 2018 to 2020 models had some oil consumption issues due to a plasma arc cylinder liner coating. Ford fixed this in 2021. If you are buying a Ford, you want the 2015 to 2017 Gen 2 or the 2021 plus Gen 4 Coyote. It is a complex engine, yes, but it is a proven one, and compared to the EcoBoost Nightmare, it is a sanctuary of reliability. We cannot talk about forever engines without talking about diesel, and in the world of diesel, there is one king: Cummins, specifically the 6.7-liter inline-6. Unlike Ford or Chevy, who build V8 diesels, Cummins builds an inline-6. Why does this matter? An inline-6 has perfect primary and secondary balance. It vibrates less, it has fewer moving parts, 1 cylinder head instead of 2, it has massive main bearings. This is not a pickup truck engine. This is a medium-duty industrial engine that they shoved into a Ram pickup truck. But the government hates diesel. Since 2007, the EPA has strangled these engines. First, they added EGR, exhaust recirculation, which pumps soot back into the engine. Then they added DPF, diesel particulate filters, which clog up and strangle the exhaust. Then they added DEF, diesel exhaust fluid, a chemical you have to constantly refill. The engine itself, the block, the pistons, the crank, is capable of 1 million miles, but the emission system attached to it is fragile. The smartest money is on the pre-emissions 6.9 Cummins before 2007, but those are rare and expensive. The next best thing is a 6.7 Cummins. Even with the emissions garbage, the core engine is so strong that it is worth the headache. Just know that in 2026, regulations are getting even tighter. Manufacturers are talking about stopping diesel production for consumer trucks entirely. If you tow horses, boats, or construction equipment, Buy a Cummins Ram now. It might be the last diesel truck you will ever buy. Finally, we arrive at the most surprising entry on this list, an engine that is currently in production, that you can buy brand new, and that defies every trend in the industry: the Mazda Skyactiv G 2.5 liter. While every other manufacturer, Honda, Chevy, Ford, went to small engines with turbos, Mazda refused. They looked at the engineering data: turbos at heat, turbos at pressure, turbos brake. So Mazda spent their R&D budget on making a naturally aspirated engine more efficient. They raised the compression ratio to a sky-high 13:1. They designed a special exhaust header to scavenge gases. They improved the direct injection. The result is an engine that feels like an old-school motor but drinks fuel like a hybrid. It has no turbocharger to replace. It has no timing belt. It uses a chain. It is simple. Mechanics are calling this the modern Toyota engine. While Toyota is losing its way with complex hybrids, Mazda is building engines that just work. You can find this engine in the Mazda 3, the CX-5, the CX-30, and the CX-50. But you must be careful. Mazda also sells a turbo version of this engine. It is good, but for this list, we want the non-turbo. The naturally aspirated 2.5 is the engine you want to keep for 20 years. It is likely the last naturally aspirated four-cylinder that will be sold in North America. When Mazda eventually switches to hybrids in 2026 or 2027, this gem will be gone. So why does this matter to you financially? Think about the year 2030. 4 years from now, the roads will be filled with 2026 model year cars that have 60,000 miles on them, the Ford Escapes with blown 3-cylinder engines, the Toyota Tacomas with failed hybrid systems, the Rams with electrical nightmares. People will be desperate. They will be looking for cars that actually run. They will be looking for cars that don't require a software update to start. They will be looking for your car. They will be looking for the Chevy Silverado with the V8, the Toyota Camry with the V6, the Mazda with the simple 4-cylinder. Supply and demand is undefeated. The supply of these engines is hitting zero. The demand for reliability is going to infinity. The depreciation curve on these cars is going to flatten, and then it's going to invert. We are already seeing it with the older diesel trucks. A clean 2006 Dodge Ram costs more today than it did when it was new. That trend is coming to gas engines next. We are standing on the edge of a cliff. The automotive world is changing, and not for the better. The era of repairability is ending. The era of disposability has begun. You have a choice. You can follow the herd and buy the latest tech, the shiny screen, and the small turbo engine. You can accept that your car is a subscription service that will expire in 5 years. Or you can make a stand. You can go out and find a 5.0 Coyote, a 6.2 LS, a 3.5 Toyota V6. You can maintain it, you can rust-proof it, you can keep it alive. Because in 10 years, when you start that engine and it rumbles to life with no check engine light and no hybrid error codes, you won't just be the guy with the cool old car, you will be the smartest guy in the room. But being smart about engines is half the battle. You also need to know which specific car models are dangerous. There are 5 SUVs that look reliable on the outside, but are actually financial death traps. I've compiled a death list of the vehicles that mechanics refuse to work on. Click this video right here to see if your car is on the list.